Here we come, blue and white, and we're looking good. You'll be in for a fight, and we fight pretty good. Getting goals is our job, and we get goals good. Looking good, we are Carlisle United.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Brunton Bugle, the one place to get your Carlisle United fix in the podcast world. I'm Lee Rooney.
And I'm Dan McLennan.
United's unbeaten start to the season comes to an end as they fall to defeat early pace setters Stevenage. We take a look at that loss in Hertfordshire while looking ahead to the visit of goal-shy Gillingham to Brunton Park this weekend. A little bit shorter intro than the one I tried to fit in last week, which was a bit of a mess.
Sort of sums up with the slightly shorter episode we're expecting with not much news.
Yeah, it's a quiet week, isn't it? Dan, how are you doing, mate?
Yeah, not bad.
Nice little trip away last weekend. Obviously, it's like you missed the game, like I.
Yes and no. The first night was, but then the lad was ill and he ended up with a viral infection, so he's been on antibiotics.
Oh, that's not much fun, then, is it? For your summer holidays, is it, youngin? Never mind. I basically to sum it up, everyone. None of us went to the game last weekend, and none of us really followed it properly. I was at a party in the afternoon, someone's birthday party in the afternoon, so I was following on Twitter, basically, constantly refreshing, getting dirty looks from the wife as to you're at a party, or why you're looking at Twitter for brief updates on what's going on at the Carlisle game. And yeah, obviously you were in the wilds of southwest Scotland, and Mike was pounding the roads of the northwest, getting beer to everyone in their Wetherspoons, wasn't he? So yeah, it's a bit of a difficult one for us to cover. But we've watched back through the extended highlights and things like that, haven't we? So we've got a decent idea. We do have one 60-second review to cover as well, the game. So we'll be on to that, and obviously previewing the Gillingham game as well. Before we start, I'll just do the sponsor bit first. Obviously, just a reminder that once again this season the podcast is going to be sponsored by the Carlisle United Sports Club London branch. The London branch is open to all Carlisle United fans. They've got members from Cornwall to Dundee and Houston to Singapore, and of course every part of London and the South East. We'll try and get some new places in there from the London branch as well. So just update it a little bit, I think it's fair to say. They regularly meet up on away trips, as well as arranging many social events, sports games and fundraising for the club. They'll be providing us with information for the away games as part of the preview section this season too. You can find out more about London Branch at their website, carlisle.londonbranch.org. And also a reminder, you can subscribe to the podcast on any good podcast app. Just search for the Brunton Bugle on whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Pocket Cast. Click subscribe, and as soon as you do, when a new episode comes out, you'll get a little notification. You can download it and listen to it at your leisure. And you can also review us on any of those apps. It'd be very much appreciated. I was looking the other day. We've got some lovely, I think it was something like 4.9 we are out of 5 on Spotify, which is nice to see.
We'll take that.
Yep, and I think we're right about 5 out of 5 on Apple Podcasts, which is very generous. Thank you very much to everyone who's done that. Also, as well, you can follow us on social media, at Brunton Bugle on Twitter and Instagram. We're also on Facebook. Just search for Brunton Bugle, click like. And you'll find us posting on the Be Just and Fear Not Facebook group and on the Cumbins.net message board. And also you can email us, bruntonbugle@gmail.com. Before we do get started, there isn't actually any news this week. I had a look through, couldn't find anything of interest, so it's a very quiet week. The only little bit of news is the fact that we sold out the away allocation at Harrogate, but with it only being an allocation of 500 odd. It's not a massive surprise, is it, Dan, I suppose, in that sense?
I think it was 599, was it?
Oh, well, there you go. So
the really annoying thing about this is the size of crowds that Harrogate have had this season.
Really poor, aren't they?
They're incredibly poor. They got just shy of 2,000 against Swindon on the first game, and Swindon only sold the 600, I would have said. They got 1,500 against Stockport in the League Cup. And then against Crawley the other week, they had 1,300. Give us another 400 and make yourselves another $8,000.
I wonder if the way the ground's designed, there isn't really the option to do the allocation that way. It's a difficult one, isn't it? You have to move season ticket holders.
It's very itty-bitty, isn't it?
Well, I've not been. It's going to be my first visit.
I've got to say, you didn't go last season, did you?
No, I gave it a miss.
You'll see what I mean. It's like even the terrace behind the goals split into two because of the tunnel. Yeah. So when half time comes, you've got to make sure that you're in the right place.
Yeah.
Which is bizarre.
Yeah, quite a bizarre one, isn't it? But there you go. Before we get started, I've just got to give a little mention to this. People might know this, and if they don't know this, and if there's any players or former players listening to this, they might be a bit annoyed with me. I am basically currently the football manager researcher for Carlisle United. Well, I have been for the last 4 or 5 years, possibly a little bit more, actually. I can't remember exactly how many. In fact, it might be more like 7 or 8, actually. I think I had a 1-year break from it and then came back to do it. Anyway, that's beside the point. I'm giving up the role because I just haven't got the time. We're doing the podcast and all kinds of other bits and pieces. It's just difficult to fit into my schedule. So, Sci Games, a Sports Interactive, are looking for someone basically to take on the role from basically as soon as possible. I'm still occasionally giving them bits, but again, it's really difficult to fit around what I'm doing at the moment. So if you're interested in doing the role, just drop me a message on social media or via email to the Brunton Bugle account, and I'll put you in contact with the guys at Sports Interactive, and we'll see what we can do. If you've got any sort of interest in sports statistics, if you could regularly go and watch Carlisle United, basically give me a shout. One of the great advantages is that you do get a free copy of the game as well, which is
and you play the game.
Yes, exactly. So if you play the game as well, that's an important thing. If you don't play Football Manager, don't message me about it because you'll need to understand what the game's about. But yeah, so just drop me a message if you get the chance, and we'll put you in contact.
I've actually got Brighton as my current save going into the second season.
You know, it's really bad. I haven't really played it for so long. Just finding the time to sit down and play.
Yeah, it's very much dipping in and out these days. But younger days when you used to pull all nighters playing it. Chatting away on MSN Messenger.
Yeah, I remember those times. I probably played for nearly 24 hours during one summer just because I was addicted to it and determined to get. I can't remember who was the team that used to be the challenge. It was Dover, wasn't it?
Yeah,
the challenging from the National League. They had 6 players on the books when you started. So you had to try.
I once took Dover from conference up to 8th in what's now the Championship, and the bloody computer rebooted and lost my save. I was gutted.
Devastating. Absolutely devastating. Well, there you go. Well, let's get back to reality, shall we, Dan? And it's a bit of a bump to come down on, isn't it, really? Stevenage 2, Carlisle United 1. Yeah, let's look back at last weekend's game. So the unbeaten run does come to an end, doesn't it, in the league? And it's against the Stevenage side that are really flying high at the start of the season, aren't they? And I think we can all be quite happy with that because all 3 of us, if I remember rightly, predicted them to be the dark horses this season, didn't we?
Yeah, we certainly expected them to do better than recent years. I mean, much as Carlisle fans aren't fans of Steve Evans, he knows what he's doing.
He's a good manager. He's a very good manager.
His record speaks for itself. You know, it's pretty impressive at most places he's been at. You know, so no, fair play to them.
No, definitely, absolutely. One of those days, by the sounds of it, wasn't it? I mean, I listened, like I said, I didn't follow. I did actually listen to around about the first 10, 15, 20 minutes or so of the game. But it just sounded like we never really got going in this one. And just
I was just going to say the same. From what I've seen of highlights and read and what have you, it seems we just didn't get going, and then they scored, which is always uphill. We started coming into it, then they scored again. And we did well to pull one back right on the stroke of half time, but the second half was much of a muchness by all accounts.
Yeah, they basically closed the game out by the sounds of things, didn't they? It's a really frustrating one for us, but there you go. I mean, before we get on to talk about the goals now, I mean, just when the lineup was announced, were you a little bit surprised to see Harris come in for Devitt?
Yes and no. Devitt didn't really. I think possibly it was more from the physical side. I think we expect Steve Evans' team to have a bit of oomph about them. Harris has sort of suggested in interviews that he likes a bit of rough and tumble, gets stuck in. But I think it was. I don't want to slag the lad off. It was his first full proper game for us, you know. But in league football, I think it was one of them that. I think he'll understand what League Two's about now.
Yeah, because even when it's not just physical, is it?
Yeah,
You've got to have a.
He'll have expected the physical side of it. It's come from the National League, but I think the intensity and the pressure. I think it'll be not a rude awakening, but certainly a hello. This is what it is, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. It's one of those. I mean, it's one with hindsight, isn't it? When you look at it with hindsight, I wonder if having Devitt playing there, because Devitt's not afraid of the physical side of it. It's more, maybe it's more keeping him fit, the physical side of it, isn't it, I suppose. But to have someone out there who could keep hold of the ball might have been a little bit more advantageous, I think, because if you look at it in terms of our pass completion percentage, it's 51%, which, you know, when half the balls you're playing you're giving away, it's not great, is it? That's one thing you look at and think, yeah, that's not fantastic. And there seemed to be a suggestion from a few people that Harris didn't really, although he was not afraid to put a tackle in and got a bit of a silly booking at one point.
Yeah.
He maybe gave the ball away a little bit too much. We're not here just to criticise one player, but I should say that. But yeah, I think you're right. It's a little bit of an awakening for him. But I have to say, I was impressed with him against Shrewsbury in the Cup. So I think there is potential there for a really good player. It's going to take him a bit of time to settle down.
Yeah, I think that's why he's got such a big contract, half of it, you know. It's
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's talk about the goals then, Dan. First up, Kane Smith opened the scoring for Stevenage. Bit of a nothing goal, this, isn't it? It's a real frustrating one because it's a long punt forward from Stevenage. And I think John Mellis does quite well to win the header, actually, because he's sort of leaning back and struggling, and he just about gets to it, heads it down, and no one reacts to the loose ball, do they? The lad comes steaming in, hits and it's a bit of a... It's not a real powerful shot, but it's so hard to tell, but from all accounts, it took a big deflection and it's gone into the far corner.
From when you watch it on the highlights, it doesn't seem to, but it also does, if that makes sense. And I think the key to it is Thomas Hawley, because he looks as though he's about to be going a certain way to get it, and then he's post, you sort of see his arms go, what can I do? You know?
Yeah. It's one of the ones, I think the deflection happens so soon in the shot.
Yeah.
You don't notice it. It's basically almost straight from when he kicks it.
Yeah.
And basically Hawley just cannot set himself as a result. And yeah, it's just a really frustrating one to concede, isn't it? And then 20 minutes later, on 42 minutes, it's 2-0. But this one, I've watched it back, and I think, is it fair to say that both of the wing-backs are going to not look back at this very fondly?
Mm-hmm.
I think both of them could have done better. I think it's fair to say. You know, we've been praising how well they've done this season, but defensively, I think they were found a little bit wanting on this one, unfortunately. Starts on the right, and again, that lad Smith, who had a great game for Stevenage by the sounds of things. He was at Boreham Wood last season, was he? I think they signed him from, and he seems to have done really, really well for them. He gets the ball, he just flicks it over Armour, and Armour's a little bit flat-footed, isn't he? He doesn't really react to it very quickly. Gets the ball, dinks a great little ball across, and it goes right across goal, and Finn Back is just caught a little bit watching the ball, isn't he? And Max Clark nips in and just pokes the ball past Hawley. And I've seen Hawley get criticised for this one. I don't think Hawley's really at fault, and there's this all, look how slowly he goes down. That's just more a, damn, I've missed it dive, isn't it? That's not a proper dive to get to the ball if you watch it back. I don't know what you think about that one, Dan.
Yeah, it's just the lad on the right. He does Jack Armour. Jack Armour will hold his hand up and say, "I've been done."
Yeah,
maybe a little bit of inexperience from Finback.
Yeah,
and I don't think Hawley had much chance with it, like you say. You know, it's just.
That's not him diving to actually try and make a save. That's the ball gone past him, and he's like, falling down, almost like, for God's sake.
Yeah.
That's gone in, sort of thing. And yeah, that could have left us on a bit of a downer going into the break. But as you mentioned, Dan, we did manage to get a goal and get back into it. Absolutely no shock to see who scored the goal, though, was it?
Not at all. King Kristian.
Yeah, the heir apparent to Ian Stevens' crown, isn't he?
Yeah.
What a bit of play from Gibson on this, though, as well. I mean, actually, give a bit of credit to Patrick as well. It's a lovely little slid ball into the box to find Gibson in space. And then Gibson just gets himself to the byline, dinks a lovely cross goal, and Kristian Dennis gets himself into the right place at the right time, and he couldn't really miss with his header, could he?
No. It was a lovely header, you know.
Yeah.
Proper poaching, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I still can't believe 1-2 folk wanted to get rid of him in the summer.
It's mad. There's quite a few people saying, he'll be one to go. But he was never going to go.
He was never 100% when he signed.
Yeah.
I'd say it was probably about 90-95%. And when his comments in pre-season about how hard they trained, etc., like I've said before, when a seasoned pro mentions that, you know they're going to be up to speed.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely. So he's basically equalled the club record, which with Alan Ashman, I think it was the other person who holds it, for 4 goals in the first. Oh, sorry, 5 goals in the first 5 fixtures at the start of the season, I should say. If he scores against Gillingham, that would make him the club record holder, wouldn't it? I think.
Yeah.
For that, I'm pretty sure. So that'd be a fantastic achievement if you could do that. Really, really would. Second half, as you mentioned, Dan, pretty much a non-event for United. No real clear-cut chances created. When you watch the YouTube highlights, especially, the only chance they show of United is the goal, basically.
Yeah.
Which is probably quite telling. Although when you look at actually the stats, 8 shots in total, 4 on target. Stevenage had 20 shots, but only 5 on target. So a little bit more accurate in terms of our shooting, but just not really. It was one of those days it just didn't quite work out, did it? And sometimes actually if we were bobbing along just getting draws for a while, you'd probably be a bit more annoyed, wouldn't you? But actually, if we get a defeat and actually it's a little bit of a wake-up sign and then we go and beat Gillingham by a couple of goals, you'd be happy with that, wouldn't you? That'd be a better reaction to get in the long term.
Yeah, I think prior to the game, you'd probably have taken a draw at Stevenage this season. They're playing well. But, I think the defeat maybe is a slight wake-up call. Just not in a bad way. Just, it's happened. Yeah. Let's go again, Looking ahead to Gillingham, Gillingham could well be on the receiving end of, a bit of a fight back from it.
Yeah, you'd hope so, certainly, wouldn't you? Well, before we go into talking about a few other talking points, should we do the only 60-second review we've got for this weekend's game? So this is one that Jason Stalker sent to you, Dan, didn't he? So thanks once again, Jason. It's the second time this season he's done one. Hopefully get a few more for him over the season for the games down south. So here's what Jason had to say.
The travelling Suffolk Blue Army only numbered the 2 of us for the trip to Stevenage. First time I've been since the non-league days, and I must say they've made a nice little stadium out of it while keeping a good, well-populated standing side for the home fans. With our injuries, I expected little from the game and knew we'd face a bombardment, which we didn't deal with very well in the first half. And although we should have had a penalty and Armour should have scored in the same passage of play, 2-0 didn't seem harsh on us. They had a game plan, they were committed and exploited the obvious physical advantage I had over our patched-up defence. Jack Ellis and Finn Back in particular got a lesson in just how physical football at this level could be, but it's something they can only learn from. Another great goal by Dennis on half-time, and you could sense a lot more confidence amongst our fans during the break, and it wasn't a bad showing after that. We certainly competed far more, not helped by appalling performances by all 3 officials, I must say, who just allowed the usual Steve Evans team's time wasting and give us nothing of note all afternoon. Gibson was good second half after a terrible first half until he's crossed for the goal, and he was at the centre of all the good things we did, and I feel we could have got a point, although can't really say we should have got a point. Overall, no disaster. They are a pretty decent, effective team in good form, and we still nearly got something out of it, despite having so many important players out. Mellish was man of the match for me, but no one particularly shone on a tough afternoon in general. Get Feeney, Edmondson and Moxon back in there soon, get Hunting up to the speed of some game time, and we still have the makings of a good League 2 squad and hopefully a decent season. Up the Blues.
Well, it was a first-class assessment there from Jason. I think it's fair to say covered pretty much everything, didn't he? Really, we should have just led with that. That would have been better than what we just talked about.
I'm just going to pick up on a bit you said at the end about getting Feeney, Moxon, Edmondson, Huntington.
Yeah,
I think our first fit full 11 will be a match for any team in this league, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Obviously, we won't always have everyone available. That's why you have a squad, but. I think on our day, there is no one to be afraid of, especially with our first choice 11.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's one of the points I did make. Like, we've got to be careful not to we said reality check, but don't overreact to this. I've seen some fans talk about, it's terrible. We need to sort these problems out. We're doing okay. We're doing fine. Don't panic at this stage. If you look at the table at this stage last season, I think of the top 7, I think only 2 or 3 of them actually were in the top 7 come the end of the season. Some of them were right down near the bottom. Harrogate, for instance, were right at the top. the start of the season. So things can change around quite quickly. Bristol Rovers were like third bottom at that point.
Yeah,
So,
well, Bristol Rovers, I predicted they would have a bad season. Obviously, they turned it around post-Christmas, but certainly up until the halfway point, I was vindicated, But I think we all like to look at the table already, but genuinely, you're looking at 10 to 12 games before it slightly settles,
Yeah, and I what I would say is as well, note the fact that Stevenage had, I think, one player out with an injury, Elliot List. Other than that, they had
bad old fans.
Yeah, they had basically. It's like about the table you're talking about there, I'm guessing. But yeah, so basically, they had Elliot List out, and that was the only player they had out injured. They had a fully fit squad by that. We got 10 players out, basically. So that does make a big difference. You've got to take these things into account, haven't you? So there you go. Some other interesting points. I mean, a good little point about, obviously we weren't there, but Stevenage's ground, they've done a hell of a lot of good work, haven't they, when you look at it? Because a lot of these non-league clubs come up and they end up stuck with the same ground for ages and ages and don't really do much with it. But actually, fair play, Stevenage. What they've put together there is a nice little ground, actually, isn't it? For our level.
Yeah.
You're not convinced.
They're just one of them clubs to me, They're established now, fair play to them, and they've got a decent ground for League Two.
Yeah.
There's a couple of recently promoted teams could take note. I won't name anyone.
You've already mentioned them once, so let's leave it at that, shall we? Yes, I think it's a really good assessment by Jason there. I don't think there's a huge amount the pair of us can add to it, to be honest. The only point I'd make out as well is his point about Jordan Gibson again having another good game. It's not like he didn't have the greatest first half, but came to life towards the end of the first half and then was probably our best player second half. He once again, he's the one creating chances when Owen Moxon's out as well, so that's good to see. Interesting point that he said John Mellish was his man of the match. WhoScored.com actually gave it to Jordan Gibson for us. But I should note, actually, we came on top in terms of aerial duels won. But the top one man for us in terms of winning headers was John Mellish. He won 7. For them, it was Danny Rose that won 10. Bear in mind, he's only about 5'8", 5'9". That suggests to me that they maybe targeted Jack Ellis, possibly, with Danny Rose, knowing he's an experienced striker who'd maybe win more in the air against him. I don't know.
That's just basic good management, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, isn't it? But it's obviously a learning curve for Jack Ellis, but I mean, I'd imagine he might well come out of the team after this game, but that's not a slight on him. And
no, he's done pretty well when he's come in, and it's
good learning curve for him.
Good option to have, isn't he?
Really good learning curve for him, and hopefully he'll definitely benefit from that in the long term. Let's do a quick League Two roundup before we get on to the second half of the show, Dan. Looking through the results, there's some interesting ones in there as usual, isn't there? Stockport still struggling in their return to the Football League, aren't they? Only one win so far out of the 5 games they've played.
Yeah, they gave Leicester a good game midweek in the League Cup.
It's a weird one, isn't it? That one, it's the way it happens sometimes. But obviously
it wouldn't be a surprise if they brought a couple in before the end of the month.
Yeah, maybe shipped a couple more out as well, possibly. I mean, what if they're regretting sending the lad to Barrow, Whitfield, whatever he's called, because he's having a hell of a season for them, isn't he? But yeah, so to be fair, Stockport did lose to Mansfield Town, who are one of the favourites this season, so no massive shame in that. Speaking of Barrow, you'll be disappointed to hear, Dan, their good start continues, isn't it? Albeit winning against a very poor Harrogate side.
Yeah, I expected them to win over the weekend.
Yeah, apparently Paul Farman hit the bar in this game with one of his long clues. Is what I've read
not a surprise because we know he can.
No, certainly can. Can't he? 3 sides still haven't won: Harrogate, Crawley, and Rochdale. Out of them, maybe Crawley's the only one that's a bit of a surprise. Sorry, not Harrogate. Sorry, Hartlepool, Crawley, and Rochdale. Hartlepool and Rochdale, maybe not a big surprise that they haven't won yet because we both expected they would have a bit of a tough time this season, didn't we? Yeah, Crawley are maybe a little bit surprised. I maybe would have expected them, even, defensively they looked poor against us on the opening day, but actually attacking, I thought they looked all right. So I'm a little bit surprised that they're struggling so badly. Signing Telford's not looking a great move, is it, at the moment?
Well, speaking of Rochdale, they've sacked the manager, haven't they? So.
Yeah, obviously, that happened as well, so that's no shock there. In terms of up at the top, you've got Orient and Stevenage sitting up there happy in first and second with Barrow in third. And yeah, I think other than that, not a huge amount else to pick out there, is it? Tranmere struggling a little bit, aren't they? They're really struggling to find a bit of form. as well, which is a little bit of a surprise, but there you go. Right, I think that's summed up the League Two roundup. Dan, let's take a little break and then we'll be back with the preview of the Gillingham game.
Hi, I'm Paul Simpson from the football club. Welcome to the Brunton Bugle.
The football club bit just makes me laugh every time. It's brilliant. That is. It's superb. There you go. That's the gaffer himself. He's introducing you to the second half of the show, where we're going to be previewing United's home fixture against Gillingham this weekend. Before we start the behind enemy line section, Dan, do you want to do your question of the week? quickly?
Yes, let me just find the picture on my phone. We play Gillingham this week. Our record victory against Gillingham came on the 24th of March 2007. We won 5-0. Can you name the goal scorers from this game? And for a bonus brownie point, who was the referee?
Okay, the referee will be an interesting one. It's bound to be a Premier League referee then, now you've said that. Right.
There's a clue in the date, is what I'll say.
24th of March.
What do we usually have at the end of March? International games.
International. So be a Premier League one. Okay, somebody's not. Okay, I'll have a think about that one. We'll come back to that just before the X-Files section. Up first, we've got the Behind Enemy Lines section. This week, we spoke to Matt from the Gills in the Blood channel, which is like basically...
Is it Gills or Gills?
Gills, sorry, it should be Gills.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've always thought it was Gills.
Yeah, do apologise. You're absolutely right there. So Gills in the Blood channel. It's basically a YouTube channel. We'll be posting up the chat I had with them as well, actually, for their channel as well. They're doing that sometime before the game, obviously. But so I sat down and had a chat with Matt. We talked about the Gills. Sorry, did it again there. Thanks for that. The Gills faltering start to the League Two after 9 years away. The struggle for goals that they're having this season, and the recent announcement by their owner Paul Scally that he's going to be taking a back seat after something like 25 years at the helm as chairman. So here's the chat I had with Matt earlier this week. So we're back again for this week's Behind Enemy Lines section, and it's the Gillingham game also this weekend. So we're talking to Matt from the Gills in the Blood channel. I said before on its podcast, but it's not, is it? You've got YouTube videos and all kinds, haven't you, on your channel, Matt?
Yeah, do 3 regular shows. So we do Match Day Live, which is obviously watching the game. Record ourselves, reactions. We speak to fans before the game. A little bit of half-time analysis and that type of thing. We then do a Monday review show where I look back at the Saturday game. Obviously, if I've been to the game, it's a lot easier. If it's an away trip that I've not made the journey for and we've lost, I have to sit there and watch through the whole performance of us getting battered like we did at Tranmere a couple of weeks ago, and then talk about it, which is not the greatest fun. And then a preview show on a Thursday where we talk to opposition fans. We do other sort of series as well. We sort of chat to legends called Gills in the Blood Chats too, and one that we need to sort of get going again is a My Gills With, where we talk to fans, ask them a series of questions, and then ask them to pick like their fantasy six-a-side team at the end. So yeah, plenty going on, which is, it keeps me occupied, and it means the wife, who doesn't like football at all, doesn't have to listen to me. Not directly anyway, she's sat on the sofa at the moment, but she means she doesn't have to have an opinion.
Yeah. Right, well, let's talk about Gillingham then. So it's your first season back in League Two after 9 years, and a bit of a tough one start results-wise. I mean, I think many expected you guys to do okay this season. I think the bookies predicted mid-table. I have to say, on our season preview podcast, I predicted you guys to be unexpected or surprise strugglers, because I just felt, your squad was quite thin at that point. I think this was a good week before the season started. But yeah, it's just not really happened so far, in particular in terms of scoring goals. It's been a real issue, hasn't it? What's gone wrong so far, would you say?
Neil Harris has spoken consistently since he arrived back in January, when he tried to keep us in League One, and he said we need to be better in both boxes, we need to score more, and we need to stop shipping them at the other end. For one reason or another, it's not quite clicked in an offensive sense so far. We lost opening day, went to Wimbledon. It was two restarts, as Neil likes to call them. The first goal was a belter. The bloke smashes it on the half volley from 20 yards. You can't do too much about that. The second one is poor from our point of view. We just don't challenge the header. Beat Rochdale the week after. That could have been 3 or 4-0. No one would have said battered an eyelid. Then we went to Wimbledon, ironically, in the first round of the League Cup and beat them 2-0 and kept a clean sheet. And we thought, yeah, lovely. So 3 goals in 3 games. It's a decent starting point. And then Tranmere, we were awful. It was one of them games where nobody turned up. We were all probably sort of 4 and 5s out of 10 at best. And we got turned over, and they didn't even have to be good to beat us. But We've shored up in the last few. Harrogate we got beat, but we was decent in spells. But it's this clinical edge that we need to find. Should have beaten Walsall Saturday. Should have beaten Exeter in normal time in the week as well, and had to make do with a penalty shootout victory. But I'm taking that. I'm saying I watched an 11-goal thriller and saw plenty of goals. But all jokes aside, no, if you don't score goals, you're not going to win many football matches. You're then relying on keeping a clean sheet to win your points. But I don't think we're as far away as some of the fan base. I think it's taking time because we've got new people coming into the group. I get that you can't use it takes time to gel for too long. But no, there's certainly been positive signs, and one of them is 4 clean sheets as well in 7 games in competitive fixtures this season. So again, it's that building block, and now it's just a case of trying to get the balance right by being strong defensively and then becoming more of a threat in the opposition 18-yard box.
I suppose with having so many players coming in the summer, it's inevitable it's going to take a while for you to settle down, especially when you've cleared so many out as well. I mean, talk about the manager, Neil Harris. What's your thoughts on him so far? He's a manager who's done quite well in a lot of the spells he's had at other clubs, hasn't he? And obviously, as you mentioned, he came into a difficult situation. Are the Gills fans convinced that he's the man to lead you forward?
I think the vast majority are still very much behind him. Yeah, I mean, we were 10 points adrift when he came in. So to the fact that we even got it to the final day and ended up going down on in the last fixture of the season live on Sky which is always nice, was testament to what he'd done. And that was, essentially the same group of players as well. He didn't have a transfer window. He arrived, I think, about midday on transfer deadline day, and he saw his captain sold to Bolton, Carl Dempsey, and then managed to get in Ben Thompson, who he'd worked with at Millwall as a direct replacement. But aside from that, it was Steve Evans' squad. Same problems as we've already mentioned. We was conceding too many. I think the weekend before we took over, we conceded 7 at home to Oxford. But I think moving forward, as long as we give him time to build a mid to longer term project, then we'll be absolutely fine. Like I say, there's signs in the last couple of performances that we're starting to see patterns of play and what he wants us to do properly. But until we start putting the ball in the back of the net, then obviously winning football matches will be a struggle. But yeah, I'm happy with Neil Harris. If we can just get a couple more in through the door between now and this time next week, then I think we'll have a fairly competitive squad at League 2 level. I'm not sitting here saying we're going to win the league. There's lots of teams in this division that can spend money and that have been used to the level. And that's the thing, that we're not a team that's used to winning over the last 18 months, and that can take a while to change that mentality.
Yeah, it's interesting. A couple of points on what you said there. Kyle Dempsey actually started his career at Carlisle. Obviously, he was had one season with us, unfortunately, before he was flogged for 400 grand to Huddersfield. But yeah, still a very popular figure with Carlisle fans, I think. You mentioned about obviously going down last day season. I think most Carlisle fans were quite good. You guys came down as well. Knowing the long journey we'd have to make.
Yeah, it's not the shortest of trips, is it?
Considering the two other options were Morecambe and Fleetwood, it was a little bit disappointing, I think it's fair to say. Yeah, obviously, you mentioned the fact that you've struggled a bit in the league, but I mean, one positive to take is the League Cup. You're into the third round, albeit, obviously, as you mentioned there, a 0-0 draw and winning on penalties, but that's got to be something to look forward to as well, potentially a big tie in the next round.
Well, it has, yes, and I was made up coming out of the ground on Tuesday evening that we'd kept a clean sheet, we'd won the shootout, and I was thinking of all the Premier League teams that we may face, and then until I found out that this season, because of this Winter World Cup, the third round doesn't get played until the first week of November, and I'm away, so yeah. I might be the only Gills fan that's not praying for a Premier League side now. I might be praying for some rubbish from League 2 that we can beat, and then fingers crossed get a bigger one in the fourth round. But no, it'd be great if we can get one of the big boys at home or away, because number one, we know as fans of clubs this size, it helps in terms of getting money into the club and into the coffers. And it's a great chance to be, it's essentially a free swing, isn't it? If we draw a Liverpool or a Tottenham or an Arsenal or a Chelsea, no one's expecting Gillingham or Carlisle or that type of side to win the tie, so it'd be a free swing. But yeah, slightly disappointed that if we do get one of them, I will not be able to attend.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's talk about some of the links in the two sides actually as well, in either squad. So for you guys, Max Amer, he had a loan spell with United back in, I've got to remember, get this right now, 2013-14 I think it was. Yep. He was on loan from QPR. It was a season where we had, as Carlisle fans will tell you, about 40 players I think we used that season, so we were a bit of a mess, but he was one of the many emergencies they used to be called back then, loan signings for like 2 or 3 months who actually looked quite good. Mm-hmm. Some of the other ones were less good, to say the least. And in the Carlisle camp, you've got Thomas Holy, of course, the big goalkeeper, and sadly, Brendan Dickinson is one who does link the two clubs, but won't be playing this weekend because he's out for the season with a cruciate ligament injury. I mean, just give us some thoughts on those 3 players. Obviously, the link the clubs.
Yeah, obviously Thomas we had up until a couple of seasons ago, and he was very good for us. When he came in, he was very raw. He'd not played in England. He'd come across from his homeland, and you see him and you see the size of him, and you think he looks a bit awkward. And he came in a season that we were struggling to stay up, I think, and Adi Pennock, the manager at the time, chucked him in for a few games, and he'd done all right. But you know, you come into a team that's not playing well and is conceding goals and losing football matches. It's not ideal for any sort of player, especially a goalkeeper. But it was weird then that he then got taken out of the side for the final day draw at Northampton. He went back to the experienced manager of Stuart Nelson and helped us keep us up. But after that, he flourished for 2 seasons. Thomas Holy, he's you know, we all know about his size, and people make comments that he struggles to get down low. But I think for a League Two keeper, you've got on a free transfer, you're not going to get many better at the level. And on top of that, he's one of the nicest blokes you could ever meet. And who was the other? Brennan Dickinson. That was the other one, wasn't it? Yeah, we had him. I think Peter Taylor bought him in 2014, the summer of. Started out as a left winger, I think, and played up front, and then seemed to sort of go further back. The season after that, Justin Edinburgh sort of converted him to a left wing back role, and he did fairly well when we played 3 at the back. And that was the season where we were in the top 6 right up until about game 44, I think, and ended up finishing 9th, which was our lowest position of the entire campaign, unfortunately. But we was a bit surprised when Brennan was allowed to leave in the summer of 2016. And then to compound that, we replaced him with Paul Konchesky, which was great at the time, because you think, former England and Liverpool and West Ham and Tottenham fall back, and it was an absolute disaster, unfortunately. So yeah, it was a shame to see Brennan go. Bit of versatility, was decent enough in terms of pace, and was a goal threat if you did play him higher up. He's done all right in League Two, hasn't he? I think he's played for Exeter and obviously Carlisle. I think he might have had a spell at
Colchester
as well. But yeah, he was decent enough. He's a lower league footballer, isn't he? We know what we get with lower league footballers. They're not going to be 8s and 9s out of 10 every week. And Max Emar, who's been with us now for, blimey, 2015 the summer, I think we signed him permanently, and assigned from one season away where we laugh and say he effectively went on loan to Bristol Rovers because we weren't offering contracts as part of the COVID problem. He's played over 300 games for one club, so you're not a poor defender if you played that many games for one football club as a professional. Is he past his best? I don't know, but these managers that pick him consistently over a period of years know more than me and you do, and the fans, and we just talk about it on social media. So for me, he's been scapegoated a little bit this season, and he has been poor in games. I'm not sitting here saying he's been brilliant for 1 minute, but he's looked a lot better since we've gone back to the back three, and he's played as that middle one in a defensive trio. The only thing that I think may hinder Max if we do get another option in is the fact that Neil Harris wants us to try and play out from the back. Will Wright and Elkan Baggott, who we've got the 2 outside centre-backs, are very comfortable coming to feet, whereas Max, I think, is trying to learn that now at sort of 30, 31, which is a bit more difficult. But he's been decent the last 2 games, and he's helped us keep back-to-back clean sheets, so I'm not going to sit here and slag Max Emar off in any way, shape or form. He's been a very good servant for our football club.
Before we finish up, Martin, thanks for giving me time. I've got to ask you about Paul Scally.
Yes.
One of the, I think, it's the second longest serving owner in the AFL, behind Steve Gibson.
Steve Gibson at Middlesbrough, I think, is the only one now that's in front of him. 27 years. Obviously, he's taken a step back, hasn't he? What's happened there? Not a lot, in truth, at the moment. I've been asked this question a couple of times. We got the statement, it came out the night after the Rochdale win. I think it was the second weekend of the season, so right back at the start of August. And it was announced that Paul Fisher was coming in as a co-chairman, who'd been on the board back at the turn of the millennium when we redeveloped the ground. Born in Medway, season ticket holder historically, so been active on Twitter, which is very different for us Gills fans, because Paul Scally doesn't have social media accounts. He's not the greatest at engaging with fans. It always seems to come across as a bit defensive, in my opinion. And Mr. Scally's made this decision. If he's been getting abuse and his house has been targeted, then there's no place for that at all, regardless of what you think of him as a chairman. But we've not really seen many changes. We're not going to see anything. It's been 3 weeks. We have to give it, 6 months to ultimately find out how much control Mr. Fisher has been given, or whether he's just being Paul Scally's puppet, essentially, in the bluntest sense of the term. What we've seen is refreshing. He's come on, he's been approachable, he's trying to interact with fans on Twitter. There's a couple of small things in terms of match day experience. The bars, you're getting served quicker. There's more kiosks open to try and help with the match day experience. But the biggest thing for me personally was his first interview. He said, first and foremost, we're a football club. And I think Paul Scally had probably just lost a little bit of that in along the way over the last few years. He seemed to be more concentrated on the hospitality side. And I understand that as a modern football club, you have to have multiple streams for revenue. You can't just be a football club anymore, and I get that entirely. But he just seems to be more sort of obsessed with the school tribute acts on a Saturday night in the bar and a wood burning pizza oven, which for me I'm not interested in. As long as, and I remember Tony Pulis years ago as Gills manager saying you can have the best facilities in the land, but if you've not got a good football team, then no one cares. And that's sort of my mantra towards it. If people want to come, 90% of people that walk through the door at the Priestfield want to watch their football team. They're not, and the other stuff just comes after as a secondary. And I think Paul Scully was getting his priorities wrong.
Yeah. No, sounds fair enough, that. Right, well, I know you've got to get off and out, so do I as well. So let's have your predictions for this weekend's game.
Heart and Head, so I'll give you both. Head is saying 1-1 draw. I know you've scored in every game that you've played, but we've kept clean sheets in 4 of 7, so we might cancel each other out a little bit. It'd be great just for us to score a goal on the road. We've not done that in the league yet. I've got a funny feeling though, I don't know, it might be blind optimism that says we might just pinch it by the odd goal.
Matt, thanks for your time and all the best for the rest of the season after this weekend.
Been a pleasure, of course. Cheers, matey. Thank you.
Yeah, big thanks again to Matt for giving up his time to speak to us about all things Gillingham. Sounds like
I believe you've reciprocated and will be on his.
Yes, I have. I've reciprocated. So if we'll post a link up to their YouTube channel when it comes up. I think they're going to tag us in on social media, so we'll make sure we post it. So great stuff. But yeah, he seems mildly optimistic about how Gillingham might actually do this season, because obviously they've not had the greatest start to the season. Defensively, though, they're quite strong, so maybe it's one of those things. They just need to find a goal scorer. But when you look at the options they've got in attack, which we'll talk about in a minute, Dan, I wouldn't really be that confident about them getting goals this season just right now. So
I think looking at their transfers in, they got 14 players came in. Mm. That's a big turnover. There was quite a few went out as well, you know, but whenever you've got that number of players coming in, they're not going to click instantly, you know. No,
certainly not. And obviously we'll talk about the manager as well in a minute, but yeah, they've got someone decent in charge too. Referee for this weekend's game, which is obviously 3:00 kick-off on Saturday, Mark Edwards from Durham. It's his 4th season in the EFL. He's taken charge of just one game this season so far. It was on the opening day. It was a 0-0 draw between Morecambe and Shrewsbury, and he handed out 4 yellow cards. And sorry, I've put 1 red card, but there's not a red card here. I just forgot to remove that from the running order. Last season he handed out 87 yellow cards and 3 red cards in 29 games. And his last United game was quite a big one, wasn't it, Dan? It was Paul Simpson's first home game back in charge of the Blues, the 2-0 win over Rochdale in March last year. Jack Armour and Jordan Gibson were the only players to be booked that night. So there you go. Head-to-head wise, it's the 51st meeting between the two sides, and so far United have won 18, drawn 11, and the Gills have won 21. Interestingly, we didn't win any of our first 9 games against Gillingham back in the 60s and 50s. So
I wonder if that was a travel thing.
Possibly.
I suppose half of them will have been up here, so not really.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a bit of a weird one, isn't it? It's a strange one, isn't it? But there you go. Right. So yeah, Gillingham. Let's have a look at their squad, Dan, and the players they brought in and stuff. Their manager obviously being Neil Harris. People probably remember him. He's a sort of legendary Millwall striker, wasn't he? You think he had a brief spell away from Millwall, didn't he? I think, who did he play for as well? It wasn't Southend, was it? Or someone like that. I can't remember. But he had that brief spell he went away from Millwall. You'll be able to tell me this because he's one of those ones that I used to sign all the time on Football Manager. He was a difficult one to sign because he never wanted to leave Millwall.
He was at Millwall for years. Then he went to Forest.
Yes, you're right.
And he went to Gillingham on loan.
And then back to Millwall.
Back to Millwall, and he finished up at Southend.
Exactly. You got it absolutely right there. Yeah, that's spot on. But yeah, so he's an interesting one because he's one of those ones I don't think anyone really thought was potentially going to be a manager. But then he ended up getting the Millwall caretaker job. He had 4 years in charge of Millwall, did all right there. A couple of years where he did okay at Cardiff as manager as well. And he now finds himself at Gillingham. And last season, they looked an absolute mess, didn't they? Up till Christmas. Yeah. And he came in January. And actually, they only went down on the last day. And they were unlucky that their opponent on the last day was Rotherham United, who were going for promotion to the Championship. So, the worst possible game they could have asked for in that situation. But yeah, he got them very close to staying up. But they had a big clear out in the summer, as you mentioned already, Dan. A lot of players coming in. if you're looking down through this list of 14 players, is there any names that really stand out to you? Think that's a good signing.
The ones that stand out for me are Glenn Morris, the keeper, on loan from Crawley.
He was signed though on literally the day before the opening day, and I think he was signed because the other keeper they signed on loan from Charlton is out injured until the new year.
Yeah.
So that's why he's been brought in as backup cover, basically.
The ones that stand out of signings are Scott Cashket from Crewe, and probably Michael Mandron from Crewe.
Yeah, I mean
the names that you recognise, because obviously they've scored the odd goal, but are they? Verdane Oliver left them to go to Bradford.
Yeah,
he's an established lower league goal scorer.
Cashket's record at Wickham was all right. 22 goals in 105 games, but his record at Crewe, 1 goal in 18 appearances. He's got 2 in 1, to be fair, or something like that for Gillingham so far. But Mandron's another one. He's one of those ones, isn't he? Mandron's been round the block a bit, hasn't he? He's one of those sort of journeyman lower league strikers, isn't he?
Yeah.
But I'm sure we've been linked with when he was at Sunderland.
When he was at Sunderland, I'm sure we got linked with a loan or possibly a move for him, and he's just sort of bounced around a bit, hasn't he?
His records, he's actually returning to Gillingham, to be fair. Actually, I didn't realise he'd had a season with them before he went to 2 years at Crewe. I mean, his record at Crewe, 18 goals, 75 games, so you're averaging nearly 1 in 4, round about that.
Yeah. The one player that does stand out that I quite like is Ollie Lee, the midfielder.
Yeah,
he's obviously started at West Ham, bounced about a bit, but really took off at Luton, and he went up to Hearts for 3 years. But when he was at Hearts, he had a couple of loans at Gillingham and has since signed for them. He's getting on a little bit now. He's into his 30s, but he's a decent player,
Yeah.
Son of Rob Lee.
Yes, of course. Obviously,
and his brother Elliot's at Wrexham now, isn't he?
Is it Wrexham? Oh, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Wonder what attracted him to Wrexham.
Interesting one. Lewis Walker signed from Athletic Capri. Carpi. Is it Carpi? Capri?
Yeah, Carpi.
Carpi, sorry. Who were a Serie D side. Really strange on that. He'd actually left it. In fact, he was at Como before that as well. So he's had like 2 years in Italy after his time at QPR and Derby.
That's my kind of signing.
It's a very odd signing, isn't it? Really, it's a strange one. But there you go. So he's a really interesting one. But yeah, like you said, looking through the squad,
there's one name stands out because he was here on loan.
Yeah, Max Ehmer.
Max Ehmer.
He was a very good centre back in a very poor season for United. What, the season of 40 players, wasn't it? I think that season.
Yeah.
He's one who does stand out, and Stuart O'Keefe's one as well. The name that rings a bell because I'm sure he's another one who's scored a lot of goals in his career, hasn't he? So he'll stand out to a lot of people. But yeah, you do look at that squad and you do think to yourself, probably not poor enough to go down, but he's not really going to threaten much higher, is he?
No. I think it's very much a transition season for Gillingham.
I mean, you look at the results. They've got 1 goal so far this season.
Yeah.
And that was from Cashket in the win over Rochdale. Now, when you look at that with a bit of hindsight now, beating Rochdale's, like taking sweet from a kid, isn't it? He says, remembering that we've got Rochdale at home next week, so that's tempting fate. Totally there, isn't it? Yeah, it's one of those ones that I just look and think, I'm standing by my original prediction that they might be a struggler this season. I really think Gillingham might find it tough. And yeah, the one thing I would say is they've got a very good defensive record. They haven't conceded too many goals, but at the other end, they're just struggling to find the back of the net. Let's watch them go to a 2-0 lead at the weekend then now. Last time out, having said that about the lack of goals, Gillingham 0, Exeter City 0 in the League Cup. They did win 6-5 on penalties though, so that might give it a bit of a boost. Rewarded with a trip to Brentford in the 3rd round, which is a nice one for ticking off a new ground, isn't it? So I think they'll be happy with that. Interestingly, the 3rd round doesn't happen until November this year because of the World Cup and all that nonsense.
Yeah, it's because the European fixtures have been sort of pushed more together.
Yeah.
So I think we're squeezing in the League Cup when just before the team. It's possibly the last game before the World Cup, actually.
Yeah, I think it pretty much is actually for all of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there you go. Right, let's talk about United then, Dan. Injury-wise, not a huge amount of change here, other than the fact that obviously Moxon, Feeney and Edmondson have all been doing a bit of light training early in the week, and the hope is that I think Moxon and Feeney will return to full training in time to be involved this weekend, wouldn't they?
Yeah, possibly Edmondson too. And then you're sort of looking at Charters and Shaw Silver being next. And then you're on to the ACL boys.
Yeah, obviously Senior's the first one of those, isn't he, really? And,
Yeah.
well, Barkley as well, obviously. You kind of forget about Ben Barkley, don't you? He had that good start to the season, got injured, and then he's just like, oh, yeah, we've got him on loan, haven't we? But even though he's done really well. Yeah, it does sound like Moxon and Feeney the two most likely to be involved at the weekend, but I don't think they're likely to start, are they? I'd imagine they'll be on the bench, the pair of them, probably, depending on how fit they are. Yeah, I mean, would you make any changes for this? I think the big one for me is I'd bring Devitt in for Harris in midfield, get a bit more control of the ball at home. Defence.
Controversial call, Claxon.
Go on.
I think Moxon, if fit, walks in.
Okay.
But I would drop Callum Guy for the game.
See, you said that. I think Callum Guy's done all right at the start of the season, and I think he's one of these ones.
I don't think he's been terrible.
Who would you drop him for?
Devitt. I'd give Devitt a game beside Moxon.
Okay. I just feel
I just don't think he's hit his height yet.
No.
And we've played a few games now.
I think he's the kind of player you need to give a run, though. That's the thing that I think. I don't think he's a player you can take in and out of the team, really. Is it?
How long do you give a run for, though?
True. I think he's done. I think he's done enough to keep starting. I don't see a major problem, but I can understand why you'd maybe want to freshen it up a little bit there. For me, the defence is the place where we need to get pinned down as to what we're going to play here, because I'd imagine Jack Ellis is going to come out. So what do you do
there? Huntington, this game was penciled in for him anyway. I would say that's probably a cast now, isn't it?
I think the half an hour against Stevenage will have done him some good, actually, to get his fitness levels up a little bit. So what would you do? I'd start him in the middle on this one. I go with him as the middle centre back.
Depends if Feeney's back, doesn't it? Oh, I think the first choice free, if fit, is Feeney, Huntington, and Mellish.
Okay. Yeah.
Your wing backs pick themselves at the moment.
Yeah.
And pretty much for the muchness.
You wouldn't change the attack, would you, really? Patrick and
no,
Dennis are
but
stay
if Edmondson's fit enough for the bench, I think Edmondson gets a run out for whoever's not performing as much.
Yeah. Jack Stretton's still not quite made the impact we'd hope, really, has he? He's finding a bit tougher.
Yeah.
He's just one of those loan signings at the moment, isn't he? He just needs to get a goal, really, isn't he, to get himself going. You don't want him to end up like a Brad Young who takes till, October or September to actually get it, or November even to get a goal. That's what you really want. But there you go. Right, so let's get on to match predictions then, Dan. What are you going for this weekend?
Carlisle United 4, Gillingham 0.
Ooh.
Would you the hiding of someone?
Goal scorers?
We got beat. We want to come back. Kristian Dennis will score 2.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jordan Gibson will get a goal. Is due 1.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go, if he plays, Huntington from a corner.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go with 4-1. I just have a feeling they'll score a scabby goal late on to get their goal scoring run started. But I'm going to go 4-1. Gibson. Sorry, I'll go with Dennis to score. Devitt. Jack Armour's going to score 1 at the far post, I think, coming in from that wing back role. And Amari Patrick will get his first of the season as well. So there you go, 4-1. Right, so let's do Mike's predictions then.
So this week I am going to back a 2-0 win with a Dennis brace.
Short and sweet. To the point, there you go. Should update the rankings actually in terms of the prediction competition this season. Dan, you're still top on 5, but I'm catching up. I'm on to 4 points because I just backed Kristian Dennis to score every week, which helps. Mike is still lagging behind, well behind on 1 point so far. So there you go. Right, before we do the X-Files, let's try and get the answer to this question then, Dan.
Quick recap. So, Carlisle
recap.
United, Gillingham, 24th of March 2007. Our record win was 5-0. Who scored for us and who was the referee for a bonus point?
2007, right. Referee, I'm going to go Mike Dean.
Correct.
Got to be the king of the celebrity refs.
Yeah.
The star attraction himself. Okay, and the goal scorers you wanted for that day, did you?
Yeah.
Danny Graham got 2. I remember that.
It did, yes.
I want to say Luke Joyce, but I don't think he did. Oh, did he? I'm trying to think who would have had a bomb.
We actually scored four in the last 10 minutes in this game.
Hell. Oh, was that a giveaway? That
Yeah.
Did Johan Smith score on this one, or did he score against? No, it was against Swansea. He scored, wasn't it? I think. Oh, this is tough because we had a few lone players in at that time as well, and Chris Lumsden, I'll go, got one of them.
No, Chris Lumsden only came off the bench for the last 5
right.
minutes.
Okay. Okay. Right. This is tough. Joe Garner, did he get one?
Who, sorry? You cut out on me there, sorry?
Sorry, Joe Garner, did he get one?
No, Joe Garner didn't play.
Oh, but Joe Garner didn't play. Oh, wow. Okay, so we've got Danny Graham 2. Kevin Gall?
Yes.
Right, so that's 3. Danny Livesey?
No.
Peter Murphy?
Yes.
Favourite players in, all right. Play players. I've got one more to get, so Peter Murphy's the bit, and was this Carl Hawley?
No.
Okay, well, I'm going to have to give up now because I've just...
You got to kick yourself because you've said his name.
Oh, was it Johan?
No.
Oh, who?
Luke Joyce.
Oh, was it Luke Joyce? Oh,
yeah.
It's one of those ones that I remember he scored like a goal in that season. I'm trying to think, who was it against?
Yeah.
Who did he score his only goal of the season? It's typical. Yeah. Oh, there you go. So that's a nice...
5-0 with Mike Dean as referee in front of 6,087.
Wow. The glory days, eh? Right, well, let's go for the X-File section, Dan. For you to fit in this week, a busy-ish week.
Yeah, at the weekend, James Tavernier and Tom Lawrence scored for Rangers in the 2-2 draw at Hibs.
Eventful game, that, wasn't it?
Yeah, massively.
Fair to say.
Oliver Norwood scored for Sheffield United in a 3-0 win over Blackburn. Jerry Yates got one for Blackpool in some game. This is a 3-3 draw.
It really was.
Goals, cards. Jack Marriott scored.
Sorry, just going to say about that Burnley game. If anyone hasn't seen the red card Burnley got in that game, go and see it. It's one of the most ridiculous decisions by the player, I should say.
Yeah. Jack Marriott scored a brace for Peterborough in a 4-0 win over Lincoln. Harry McCurdy scored in Swindon's 3-0 win over Rochdale. More on him soon. Andy Cook scored a brace for Bradford in a 3-1 win at Hartlepool. Adam Campbell scored in Gateshead's 2-1 defeat at Dorking Wanderers. What a team. Dorking Wanderers. Some story, actually. It's worth reading. That
yeah, definitely.
They've only been around 20-odd years and have been promoted several times.
Yeah.
Gimme Toure scored for Yeovil in a 2-2 draw with Altrincham. Josh Todd scored in Queen of the South's 4-1 at Peterhead. And a massive one, Workington's 7-0 win at Western Allotment Celtic. Dave Simonton got 2. Steve Rigg, back from injury, got 1. And James Hooper. Yeah. Couple midweek in the Cup. Andy Cook scored again. Bradford's 2-1 defeat to Blackburn. And Arthur Ganauer scored for Morecambe in a decent 1-0 win at Rotherham.
Yeah, good win for them, wasn't it? Yeah.
Couple of transfers, as we've already mentioned. Gimme Toure signed for Yeovil on a free transfer. Obviously scored there. And David Amu has joined Stevenage on a free transfer after he got released by Port Vale in the summer.
That's a really good sign for them, you know. I genuinely think that's a really
David
smart
Amu
sign.
is a good, solid player at this level.
Yeah.
I think he was a bit underrated for us because he chips in with a goal or two as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Other news, right, Harry McCurdy.
Go on.
A 3-game ban and £1,500 fine for after his red card the other week. He went in the dressing room and threw a protein drink, exploded all over the referee's suit. His argument was he thought it was half-time, so he went in for an argument. I can understand why, because I think it was the 43rd minute he got sent off.
Yeah.
So by the time he's come down the tunnel, went in the dressing room and, you know what he's like, I'm going to see him about this. He's maybe thought they're coming off the pitch or something, but...
I think this is quite a lenient punishment he's got, you know.
He's been a lucky lad.
Because it's supposed to be, you know, sacrosanct, isn't it? You're not supposed to go in the referee's dressing room. You're supposed to stay out. It should be locked. It should be said, actually. Swindon have asked up there, to be honest.
Yeah.
That's where there's a slight issue too. But But yeah, he's not the sharp. And did you see he put on Instagram a photo? I've learned now that they're supposed for drinking, not for throwing or something. It's like, you never learn, does he? Never bloody learns.
He's always got to say something. And one other piece, last night, we've mentioned them both already, James Tavernier and Tom Lawrence will be playing Champions League group stage after a fantastic win at PSV. Jared Branford was on the bench, didn't come on. They were obviously chasing the game once they went 1-0 down. And it'll be the Europa League for PSV, so I think he'll get a bit of European action.
Yeah, he should do, shouldn't he? I mean, the goal that PSV conceded, and this was a dreadful one for them, wasn't it? It was a complete mistake by the defender, but there you go. Right, anyway, that's it for this week. Dan, thanks once again for joining me. Really appreciate it. Coming up, episodes, it's the same as it was previously. We've got the Rochdale preview coming up as well. We're hoping to do my CUFC 11, hopefully over the next week or so. I'll try and fit that one with either Dan or Mike, I should say. We're still working on getting an interview sorted for an upcoming episode, so there you go.
Yeah.
Yep. So thanks again.
We've got Tim lined up to come on shortly, haven't we?
Yes, as well. Book. Yes, we'll sort out that with Tim as well. We keep putting that one off, but we'll get that sorted definitely as well. Dan, thanks for joining me. Thanks everyone for listening. Thanks to our sponsor, the London Branch, and up the Blues.
Up the Blues.